Oh,
Made it.
good afternoon, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners meeting for October 8th, 2019. I'm John Hutchings, the chair of the board, and to my left is Vice Chair Commissioner Gary Edwards. To my right is Commissioner Ty Menser. To his right is the clerk of the board, La Bonita Bomar, and to her right over on the bench is Robin Campbell, the Assistant County Manager and Finance Director. And with that, I'm going to ask Commissioner Menser to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And next, I will look for a motion to approve today's agenda.
I would so move to approve today's agenda of October 8th, 2019.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve today's agenda. Any changes, amendments?
No, sir.
No?
Nope.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes. And a motion to approve the board meeting minutes from September 24th, 2019, and October 1, 2019.
I would move to approve the board minute meetings from September 24th, 2019 and October 1st, 2019.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the board meeting minutes, both of them. Any changes, alterations?
No, sir.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye, that carries. That takes us to presentations, and the first one is from the Auditor's Office regarding Cybersecurity Awareness Month proclamation. And we don't see anybody. I wonder if she's been hacked. We'll move on to the next one while we send out a search party. The next is Prosecuting Attorney for Domestic Violence Awareness Month proclamation. Is Christy? There's Christy. Yay.
Good afternoon. I have the very easy job of just introducing the people who will be talking to you today. So good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Christy Peters. I'm the Chief of Staff of the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and it's my pleasure today to introduce to you our Senior Deputy Prosecuting Attorney and Team Leader for the Domestic Violence Team for here in Thurston County, Jennifer Lord.
Thank you.
Hello, Jennifer.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. If you don't mind, I'd like to invite Natalie Scorvan to join me. She's here from Family, with her cutest little bundle of joy. She's here from Family Support Center, and as you know, we work in concert with the Family Support Center as the Family Justice Center, and we'd like to try to tag team our presentation to you this morning, or this afternoon, if that's possible.
It's wonderful, yes.
Thank you. So we wanted to begin with a few statistics about domestic violence in Thurston County. According to the documents that we were able to review prior to today, it appears as though in the last year we had one homicide, and that is a case where a husband fatally shot his wife and also her adult son who was trying to come to her aid. The adult son was injured and permanently paralyzed. They found him in a locked bathroom where he was hiding from the gunman. That case has not been adjudicated as of yet. Those are the public facts. And that case is still awaiting trial. Unfortunately, it involves gun violence. As we know, gun violence is prevalent in our country as well as in our community. And also, unfortunately, domestic violence cases oftentimes, in fact, many times involve some type of gun violence. And we are working together to try to address the issue of gun violence. We are working together to address the issue of gun violence in the domestic violence prosecution and survivor support systems. In Thurston County this last year, well, year to date, last year in 2018, we had in just the felony cases, felony domestic violence cases, we had 539 domestic violence referrals. So those are cases with no arrests. That's where a police report is generated, then provided to our office for us to review for charging ultimately. We had 423 actual domestic violence felony charges filed in Thurston County. In addition to that, because we have the district court domestic violence team as well, in 2018, there were 721 district court and/or gross misdemeanor domestic violence referral matters, and there were 457 district court domestic violence cases that were charged. That's down a little bit from the year prior. However, it remains fairly consistent. And it's unfortunate that we're not seeing a decline in these types of crimes, because these types of crimes affect our entire community. We're working together as a group, and I would like to ask Natalie to address you regarding some of the ways in which we're approaching education in our community and with our law enforcement partners to work towards ending this cycle of violence.
Thanks, Jen. So as Jennifer said, I'm Natalie Scovern. I'm the Deputy Director at Family Support Center. This is my daughter, Sophie. It's her first proclamation ever. Very
Sophie.
fitting. And so last year when we were here speaking to you all, we were talking about, we had just come back from a national training on strangulation prevention. How do we respond to strangulation? We know it's one of the most lethal forms of domestic violence. 60% of the survivors seeking services at Family Support Center, which may or may not ever engage with the law enforcement or criminal justice system, have been strangled. And so we came back and spoke to you all last year and said, we need to do something about this. And in partnership with the Sheriff's Office and the Prosecutor's Office, utilizing some STOP funds, we brought in national experts for 2 days to the fairgrounds to train our community on responding to strangulation. We had 115 participants across all of our jurisdictions. We had law enforcement, we had community-based advocate, nurse-family partnership nurses were there, all of us working collaboratively to say, okay, when we're engaging with a survivor of strangulation, what do we need to know and how do we support them in increasing their safety, ultimately, hopefully holding the offender accountable, but ending that cycle and making sure that because it is the most lethal form, it's really important to make sure that we're responding accordingly and following the survivor's lead. And so that was just one of the big successes that we had in the past year, again, in partnership as the Family Justice Center, but to make sure that we're serving our survivors and our victims comprehensively.
We even had a defense attorney present at
We
that
did.
training, which was amazing. And it's good for all parties to participate in that training.
Absolutely.
So one of the issues that survivors of domestic violence run into is the myriad of different agencies with which they have to participate. As we've stated previously before you, domestic violence affects every corner of our community, but it most specifically, most directly affects the survivors of these acts of violence and their families. Through the Family Justice Center, we've been working together in partnership with the Clerk's Office and with Thurston County Sheriff's Department and other agencies under the same roof to try to prevent the survivors from having to go to multiple different agencies to get the support that they need to get through this very difficult process, whether it's involving the criminal justice system or not. We had, just recently, I had a case where I was working with a survivor who we were talking to about preparing for trial. She had some information that she did not want disclosed to law enforcement, but she needed some assistance, and she needed some assistance with housing, and she needed to talk to an advocate who would be confidential. And we were able to get in touch with Jory, who is just across the hall, and Jory came down immediately to work with that survivor and to provide her the support, the confidentiality, and working towards a housing solution for her immediately. She didn't have to go anywhere. And that's why the Family Justice Center and our collaborations are so important. I just recently was able to charge a case because I had a Thurston County Deputy Sheriff Detective in the Justice Center to assist me with witness tampering that was occurring through the jail phone system. And because of Detective Oplinger's work, we were able to file charges and perhaps be able to successfully prosecute the witness tampering that was going on. And had the sheriff's department not been present to assist us in that way, I don't know how soon those charges could have been filed. Timeliness is of the essence in these cases. Additionally, we have the assistance of the clerk's office and their advocates who work tirelessly with our survivors, whether they're criminal survivors or criminal meaning a criminal case, or they're not in the criminal justice system, to advise these people of how to get their protective orders, how to work their way through that system. And this partnership is just really, really beneficial to everybody on all sides. That being said, I want to leave you for a moment with, on Saturday, I was at Safeway, and we were in the pharmacist's office waiting for a shot. And sitting next to me was a woman, and her husband came rushing in, and he leans down to her and he says, "Oh my God, you can't believe it. I just saw this man beating the holy blank out of this woman in the parking lot. You cannot believe the horrible things he was calling her." And he said, "I had to call the police, and then I had to stay, and I had to wait for the police to get there. It was really bad." And that's just an example. That's every day, all day long. And it affects not just those people who are involved there. It affected the man who's now a witness. It affects his wife. It affects all the people who witnessed it. In some way, shape, or form, we're all affected by this throughout our community. And domestic violence is persistent, and we are of the mindset that we're working to end this cycle. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
I long to be there when one of those things happen in a parking lot, but it doesn't happen. Good grief. Any questions or comments? Anything from you?
I did want to say I believe the sheriff's department is present, and I don't know if they wanted to address.
Sheriff or Under Sheriff, you want to take the podium?
Sure.
Don't be shy. Come on. I have a question for Sophie.
Yeah. She doesn't have, her verbal skills are tough
This is
right
easy.
now.
Are you in awe of your mom? Oh, apparently so. Okay.
Yeah. She comes to work and sees it happen every day, so.
But I do have a question later after the sheriff for Jennifer.
Okay. I'm good, how are you? Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
This proclamation for law enforcement is especially huge, especially since I think it's been a couple weeks that I provided the county commissioners with a presentation of law enforcement and what it looks like and what our most dangerous calls are. And our most dangerous calls are domestic violence calls, and what it looks like and how fast do we want to get there to A, prevent the harm from occurring or to stop it. And then when is my next backup going to be there? And what are we trying to do in the meantime to help prevent domestic violence? And one of the best things that I've gotten to do since being the sheriff is working with the prosecutor's office and working with the county clerk's office and us working together with the Family Support Center to be able to provide a location where we can all work together to help victims of domestic violence when they come in there to seek shelter and assistance from their abuser. And they go to the Family Support Center just looking for just that. And it's amazing how many wonderful people we have at the Family Support Center and people from the clerk's office, prosecutor's office, and the sheriff's office who want to work so hard and diligently to solve and prevent domestic violence. And fortunately, we've been lucky enough to work with other organizations such as Adult Protective Services to end domestic violence. And we strive every day to end domestic violence. And unfortunately, the three of you all too uncommonly hear about domestic violence, and two of you I know have had to work in domestic violence situations, and Commissioner Mesner has had to deal with it himself in his other profession that he used to have. And so you all know how important this proclamation is and what it not only means to all of us in this room, but to our community and what we're trying to do every day to make it safer, not only for the victims of domestic violence, the potential victims, and our children. and keep them safe and make sure that they're safe at home. And so for that, I just want to say thanks for doing this for us. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. And I had written down here your presentation, A Day in the Life, or A Day Without a Deputy Sheriff, and the 911 DV call that you shared, because it had a profound impact on our audience.
Yeah, unfortunately, those kind of things impact us all for the rest of our lives, just those type of situations. And that's why these days like this, when you do proclamations like this, means so much to us. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, sir. Jennifer, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You mentioned right up top, one of the stats, 539 referrals for domestic violence without arrests. Then you said 423 charges filed. Is that 423 of that 539, or do we have close to 1,000 DV calls?
There's a culmination. So I think that you could fairly, I think it would be fair to say between 800 to 1,000, because not all of the referrals are ultimately charged, not all of the arrests are ultimately charged, but the combination of both of those, yes, between 800 to 1,000.
Yeah, that should be stunning to the public.
It's, and the fact that that's a little down should be stunning to the public, because
Yeah.
it's certainly not small enough.
Hey, anything further?
No, just kind of piggybacking what the sheriff said, when you're the criminal attorney in a family law firm, guess what you get to be a specialist in?
Right.
Domestic violence, it's the overlap of the areas. So I did a lot of work, protection orders on both sides of the family law matters, and then different criminal defense. So spent a lot of time listening to those tapes that, like the sheriff shared, not in harm's way, but certainly understanding what is going on in the community and how widespread it is.
Yes.
So thank you for all the work you guys do in this area.
Yes, and thank you, Natalie. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay, thanks to the sheriff and Christy and Jennifer and Natalie and Sophie for coming forward with this. Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas the month of October has been nationally designated Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and whereas over the last 2 decades, crime victims and their advocates have made progress towards improving criminal justice systems by supporting millions of survivors of domestic violence and their families who deserve justice. And whereas victim advocates for the Thurston County Prosecutor's Office provided advocacy services to over 1,260 victims of domestic violence, and whereas Thurston County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to 1,978 domestic violence 911 calls in the past year, which is equivalent to 1 call every 4.5 hours. Whereas Thurston County Board of Commissioners supports the efforts to promote the safety of victims and others through an increased focus on countywide cooperative strategies and public awareness campaigns, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaims October as Thurston County Domestic Violence Awareness Month, encourages all county residents to learn more about the crime of domestic violence, the dynamics involved, and the growing impact on citizens in Thurston County, and to support our local victim assistance agency and criminal justice programs that work to serve domestic violence victims, survivors, and their children. Adopted this 8th day of October 2019, signed by your Board of County Commissioners.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could get everybody to come up, huh?
Yep.
Sheriff, you better
Sheriff.
get in this.
Sheriff, Under Sheriff. Hello. Oh, yeah. Let me present this to you. Come here, baby. Yeah. Oh, come to Opa. Yeah. Or Uncle John. Oh, nice belch. Look at that. You hear that? Nice belch.
I'm trying to teach your manners, but we're working on it.
You're adorable. That's what you are. Okay, smile.
Can we do one with the proclamation?
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, and no throw up. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Give her back now.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed.
How cool is that? Thank you, Natalie. So now we're going to move to the presentation from the Auditor's Office on Cyber Security Awareness Month. Auditor Mary Hall.
Thank you, Commissioners, and my sincere apology for being late. I was on a briefing call. As many of you know, I chair a committee in the Auditors Association that's working to get election funding, and I was being briefed on a call that from a committee member who just had a very promising meeting with the chair of Senate Ways and Means. So,
Beautiful.
So
Take your
my
time on that
apologies.
one.
Pardon me? Yes.
I will wait.
First, I want to thank all the commissioners for your support in proclaiming October Cybersecurity Awareness Month in Thurston County. You know, the threats that we face as a county and community from cyber attacks is real. And as a county's top election official, I am keenly aware of that fact and working very hard to make sure all of our systems are secure. For that reason, my office has taken steps to improve our cyber posture. We've added multi-factor authentication, additional security at our ballot processing center. But our election systems are only as strong as the county itself because we're only as strong as our weakest link. As many of you know, cybercrime is on the rise. There were over 50 ransomware attacks in local government this year so far. And it goes unreported because most people don't want people to know that they're a victim. So the 50 are only those that have been reported. And government is a high-profile target. You know, our neighbors to the south in January were victims of a cyber attack, and it took the county down for an entire 2 weeks, and chaos ensued. So last year, we created the Thurston County Cybersecurity Task Force, which has brought together all the departments in the county to ensure that we're all informed of the threats and that we're preparing ourselves so we don't get attacked. So Cybersecurity Awareness Month is all about increasing awareness in our community and bringing awareness of what we can do to protect ourselves. And there are a couple great websites that I really encourage everybody to take a look at. One is called stopthinkconnect.org. It has a lot of great information on how to keep yourself safe both at work and at home. So I encourage everybody to visit that. I also want to thank our IT department and Dennis, who's our new IT director, who's been doing a fantastic job making the entire county more secure, and also all of the directors. Robin is on the committee as well, because I'm very grateful that all of county government is taking this very seriously. So thank you for that. And I have little gifts for you. We're also distributing all of these posters that can go up just to bring awareness to people to stop and think before they click that link. And I have calendars for each of you for your office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you'll be seeing these posters around the community, and a couple lucky folks will get the calendars you have as well. So anyway, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments?
No, I know this is an important area that I'm concerned about. I'm really thankful that your office is putting an emphasis and priority. Makes me feel like we're in good hands, and so I know that it's a constantly evolving area, so we have to stay on top of it. Thank you for helping us focus on that.
I'm working to get funding for cybersecurity as well.
Yep, I'm aware of that.
Commissioner?
No, this whole thing is over my head, to be honest with you, when it comes to cyber activity and such, but
Just don't click it.
I
Well, hang on.
rely on Dennis and Mary to fill me in.
And that's why we hired Dennis, I believe. That was part of the conversation, was
Yeah.
because of your attentiveness to this topic as well for the county. And I shared this morning, Mary, that we had lunch yesterday and you talked about this issue, and I forgot what metaphor I used or analogy, but it doesn't matter. But that you are really on this topic to protect not only democracy, our elections, but also the county. as well. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate that and applaud that. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Whereas Thurston County recognizes it has a vital role in identifying, protecting its citizens from, and responding to cyber threats that may have significant impact to our individual and collective security and privacy. And whereas critical infrastructure sectors are increasingly reliant on information systems and technology to support elections, financial services, law and justice, telecommunications, transportation, utilities, public health, and emergency response systems, among others. Whereas the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, cybersecurity framework has been developed as a free resource to help organizations, large and small, both public and private, like Thurston County, improve their cybersecurity practices through a practical approach to addressing evolving threats and challenges. And whereas maintaining the security of cyberspace is a shared responsibility in which each of us has a critical role to play, and awareness of computer security essentials will improve the security of information, infrastructure, and economy. And whereas the federal government of the United States of America, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Multi-State Informational Sharing and Analysis Center, the National Association of State Chief Information Officers, and the National Cybersecurity Alliance all recognize October as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Citizens are encouraged to visit the website www.stopthinkconnect.org to learn about cybersecurity, and to put that knowledge into practice in their homes, schools, workplaces, and businesses. And whereas the Thurston County Auditor's Office, in partnership with the Information Technology Department of the Commissioner's Office, along with representatives from the offices and departments across the county, have formed a Thurston County Cybersecurity Task Force to bring resources and tools to the county to enhance our cyber awareness, provide training and tools, and increase our security posture to protect critical data and systems, provide essential services to the community we serve. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaims Thurston County will stand with the nation in recognizing October as Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and hereby commits to focusing and increasing cybersecurity awareness in Thurston County. Adopted this 8th day of October 2019, signed by your county commissioners. And Dennis, you better get in this.
Wait a minute. There's no baby to hold? Thanks, Emmett. There you go. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, sir. I might add, before Mary leaves, or as she leaves, the face of this calendar, when you handed it out, I looked at it and thought, well, that's kind of cool. Some professional artist, whatever, did this drawing of a female leaving a digital footprint, until I read the little medallion here of the gold star, and it says it's a 10-year-old little girl from New York that drew this. And it's very telling. And she won an award for this. That's pretty doggone cool, really. Very cool. So thank you, Mary. Thank you, Emmett. That takes us to the part of the agenda that we love, and that's agenda item number 1, opportunity for the public to address the board. And I'll just start with some guidelines. This is the time for the public to address the board. We're not going to dialogue with you, and please address your comments to the board and not to the audience and such. The board does not respond to public comment. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, and it's up on the board. And La Bonita Bomar has the controllers. And when your time ticks down to 0, you'll hear a buzz, but please continue to finish your thought. Meeting attendees cannot donate your time to another person. We reserve the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for a good cause. Please silence your phones if you have not yet. No comments that are lewd or offensive to a reasonable person. We ask to be respectful. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as a promotion for a for-profit business. Nothing hateful, defamatory, discriminatory. Any material that's provided may be considered public record, subject to the public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 42.56 of the RCW. And remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before this board would not be appropriate. And so when I call your name, I have the sign-up sheet. If you haven't signed up and wish to, go ahead and sign up, but you'll have an opportunity to come up anyway. Please introduce yourself and where you live in the county. And I'll call the folks up in the order of sign-up, and the one that's on deck ready to speak next, so we can just keep this flowing. First one is John Pettit, followed by Terry Ballard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live out on Rich Road in East Olympia. I had several different topics to talk about. I just want to kind of reinforce I was really pleased to hear these proclamations. These proclamations affect every single citizen in Thurston County. Now, what that really means is now it's up to you to be able to financially support getting officers on the road, so that way they have enough support to go to those calls, those 1,200 calls of domestic violence. Okay? There's no question. I mean, it's easy to pat everyone on the back and say, oh, we understand. But now it takes action. So there's a call to action. Cybersecurity, you know, it affects all of us and it affects all ages. And so therefore, it's something that investing the extra money in that protection is really important. So I hope that as you consider some of your budget measures, you realize that maybe you have to make decisions. Maybe you'll even decide that you need to find a way to raise the general revenue of the county without just creating more and different taxes that all mingle in. Just one general tax increase would help generate enough revenue for everyone. Okay, now the other quick issues which I'm going to address, and I'll say it in about 5 seconds, I will continue to be against the courthouse proposal as currently done through the general funding process. So, now to move on to the other topic which I am going to relate to, much because of my good friend Terry Ballard, who he's had an ongoing concern, and he suggests I watch a video the other day that the Thurston County Environmental Health had put on about people reporting their septic systems. Well, septic systems are kind of unique because when they're working perfectly good, you aren't polluting Budd Inlet. You're not polluting Henderson Inlet. You're not causing pollution. But the one thing we do know is that it's absolute. That all the sewer systems that use anything other than a drain field style use, they are all polluting the inlets in the Puget Sound. So with that being said, I had requested some response regarding the Henderson Shellfish area. Thurston PUD, number one, has wells in the middle of Tanglewild. Tanglewild has been proved not to be having stormwater contributing to any cause of the Woodland Creek, which leads in there, but yet you continue to provide septic fees against 800 people, which is a good revenue source for the county, but that's not a reason to charge them $40 per year to get a little postcard that says, check your septic tank every 3 years. Okay, that's not good value, and you guys should make adjustment and resolve that. Thank you.
Terry Ballard followed by Phyllis Farrell. And I nearly didn't recognize you without your ball cap. Who is this?
I think there's something else different.
Oh.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Terry Ballard. I'm a 35-year veteran. I retired in 2012. I'm born here in Washington and reside in Tanglewild, which is Thurston County unincorporated. I have a bunch of stuff for lot. I'm sorry, and those three septic systems, or three sewage systems that the manager claims that they get awards for. Well, let's see what they get awards for, okay? Besides the reclaimed water, now there's two parts to the sewage. There is effluents and there's sludge. Mr. Edwards was worried about the sludge because they're dumping it out in Yelm. And who knows where they're dumping lots and the three sewer systems that you own, okay? Besides the reclaimed water treatment plants, lot dumps more than 475,000 gallons daily of contaminated water into Bud Inlet without further filtration. Now, just to tell you about the size of this room, that would be 6 stories high of this very room. In 1 week, it would be 42 stories of this room. In 1 year, of course, it's 312 stories of this room of contaminated waste, okay? That's the footprint of just this room. It's amazing. Just that one lot sewer system that drains into Bud Inlet does all this, okay? We ain't talking about the reclaimed water, which is another story altogether. Now, lot orders the same UV system that they currently had, so it only contains 95% of the pollutants, okay? So they got some type of award, some telemark award for this, and I'll keep the score. That's Tango Wild 0, okay, lot 2. Now we got Boston Harbor. Fecal chloroform did not meet permit limit. Affluent into Bud Inlet, where's the sludge being dumped? That's just the influent. Now what they do for this permit? Oh, I'm sorry, they reported it. Oh, that took care of the waste that was being dumped. They reported it. Well, I always thought that contamination was the generator of the waste. That's where I learned. Okay. Then we go down here to Tamashan. Sewage overflow being dumped into Bud Inlet because of an illicit combined connection, okay? But they say, well, hey, that was the fresh water valve, but we still have the stormwater valve. Combined sewer systems are illegal. They're illicit and illegal. And did Tamashan get awards? Oh yeah, Tamashan, Boston Harbor, Grand Mountain. What are they doing with the sludge? And like Mr. Edwards said, they may dump it in eastern Washington, but I know they're dumping it out in Yelm. Thank you.
Next is Phyllis Farrell, followed by Sally Knoll.
Good afternoon,
Ooh, will you bring that microphone down for you? Thanks, Phyllis.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Phyllis Farrell, and I am here today representing the South Sound Sierra Club Group. I live in unincorporated Thurston County in the Sunwood Lakes area. And as you know, the Sierra Club is a nonprofit, nonpartisan group engaged in environmental advocacy. We represent approximately 2,000 members in Thurston County alone. The South Sound Sierra Club hereby requests that the Thurston County Commissioners retain the current appropriate zoning of rural residential 1/20 for the 745-acre Maytown site, also known as Rocky Prairie, rather than considering an amendment to the comprehensive plan to allow for a change to rural resource residential. The county determined in 2010, after careful study, that the site had so many critical areas that rural residents, 1 house per 20 acres was the proper designation. This property is owned by the Port of Tacoma and abuts a Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife Preserve with at least 6 threatened or endangered species and is ecologically fragile, has valuable rare habitat, several at-risk species, and is on a critical aquifer that is part of the Chehalis Basin and Black River watershed. Further, it's part of an extensive, rare, and valuable wildlife corridor providing needed connectivity for large animals. The surrounding rural area includes the historic and popular Millersvania State Park with its 500,000 visitors a year, a 1,200-acre undeveloped tree farm, and a wildlife preserve with hunting and hiking. Therefore, the South Sound Sierra Club requests that the Thurston County Commissioners retain the current appropriate zoning for the site, rural residential 1 per 20, as determined following extensive review in 2010, rather than amending the comp plan to change the zoning to rural resource industrial. The South Sound Sierra Club supports the coalition to protect Rocky Prairie from North Point industrialization. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Sally Knoll, followed by Sharon Koontz.
Hi, I'm Sally Knoll. I live down by Miller-Sylvania State Park. And I've been reviewing that Thurston County Comprehensive Plan. It's pretty big. I haven't gotten very far. But I wanted to see how that went along with the Rocky Prairie, Maytown, North Point, a logistics center that is under consideration, I guess. How it fits into that comprehensive plan that's supposed to guide us into the future. It doesn't fit in at all. It's contradictory to so many elements of that are defined in this comprehensive plan. In chapter 1, page 1, paragraph 5, I'm just going to read you. This is on the vision for Thurston County. It says, preserve the natural environment, water quality, open spaces, conserve the natural resource base. We recognize our role as stewards of our natural resources and trustees for the future quality of human life. The quality of our county environment is a special feature that draws people to our area. We must monitor, protect, and enhance that environment. Maintenance of the quality of our water resources is an important concern because of human health, recreation, fisheries, and aquaculture activities. Conservation of our farm and forest land base is important to ensure that these lands will be available to the future generations. Our open spaces are valued as visual and physical buffers, wildlife habitat, and recreation sites. Open spaces can separate land use and provide a relief from homogeneous developments. This is the very beginning. It's the vision of the comprehensive plan. So this Rocky Prairie thing, this Maytown thing, doesn't fit in there. So please don't change the zoning. Just keep the zoning as it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Sharon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Sharon Koontz, Friends of Rocky Prairie. You're getting 3 of us today on this subject. That's unusual. I live out towards Totten Inlet. First, we've been out in the community talking to people about this North Point Rocky Prairie Maytown Industrial Center. It's got a long name now, doesn't it? The proposal. And here's what we've learned from people in Tenino, people in Yelm, Rainier, Tumwater, and Olympia. Hunters love their wildlife preserve, especially the one right next to the proposed cargo transfer center, and they know this would ruin it. And everyone loves Miller-Sylvania State Park. When they see the map, they are either incensed or baffled by the idea that anyone would want to put a project like this so near to it. People talk contemptuously about NIMBYs, you know, those not in my backyard folks, which this certainly engenders that feeling. But I've talked to literally hundreds of people, Thurston County residents in outlying areas who don't want it. They're not NIMBYs. In fact, at the Oregon Trail Days out in Tenino this summer, we went to the parade in the park, a few of us. We had over 400 people come up and sign that they were opposed to this project being near them. And there were only a few of us out there that day. Tenino folks kept saying to us, hey, we like our rural community. We're proud of our small town. They may want jobs, but they don't want this. That's what we're finding all around the county in all those towns I already mentioned, and we've been to all of them. And they may not be hardcore activists that we're talking to, but they're voters. They're your constituents, unlike the Port of Tacoma and North Point, that huge outside company from Kansas City, Missouri. The second issue I want to address real quickly is we know that this issue isn't being studied by you folks yet, by commissioners. We see a problem with that. How do you know what's wrong with this project and know not to bother putting it on your docket if you don't look at it and study it just briefly in advance? And it would be brief. Have you asked Fish and Wildlife what this would mean to their preserve? Have you asked your county hydrologist what it would mean for a critical aquifer recharge area, which is hard for me to say, CARA, I believe they call it for short, but that's what this is. Have you asked the businesses along the Bountiful byways how they feel about this? I remember at your meeting down in Rochester, I guess it was, where a gentleman from their Business and Convention Bureau, or what's it called, the Tourism Bureau anyway, he expressed their concerns about this project and the effect on the Bountiful byways. If you don't know in advance the multiple ways this project would violate the county code, the comprehensive plan, and the Growth Management Act, you could be tempted to docket it and waste precious staff time and county resources investigating it. There is no need for that. A little research and a few questions asked of the right people right now would make that huge waste of time and money unnecessary. We have more information on our website, friendsofrockyprairie.com, about endangered species and other issues that affect that affect this property, and we would love for you to look at it. Can I take 10 more seconds to tell you?
You're eating them up now. Hurry up.
Oh, good grief. Just to say, next time I come in, I'll bring some interesting documents I found last time from the Port of Tacoma when they first planned a logistics center down here. Their attorneys saying all the reasons it won't work. I thought you might like to see that.
Thank you. No, over here on the bench. Thank you, Sharon. That exhausts the list of folks that have signed up. Is there anybody in the gallery that would like to address the board that has not signed up and not spoken yet? You're more than welcome to. Anyone? Good. Thank you very much.
Might I make a comment?
No.
No.
Go ahead. Make a comment if you wish. Yeah, I can't stop you.
Sharon,
I
that
can.
piece of information from the Tacoma port up there, I'd certainly like to see that sooner than later. Okay. Just so you know.
Okay. Moving on to agenda item number 2, which is the county manager's update. Does the county manager or assistant county manager have anything to update us on?
I have no update this afternoon.
All right, that moves us rapidly to the consent items. Consent item 3A, the voucher list.
Yes, I would move to approve consent item A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the voucher list. Any polls or changes or questions?
No, sir.
No? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's approved. Department items. Agenda item number 4 is setting a public hearing for the 6-year transportation improvement program for 2020 to 2025. And it looks like we have County Engineer Scott Lindblom here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Scott Lindblom with Public Works. Got one item for your consideration this afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I've got one item for your consideration this afternoon. That is to schedule a public hearing to take public comment on the county's 6-year transportation improvement program. Pursuant to RCW 36-81-121, the board is required to adopt a 6-year transportation improvement program each year. The TIP, as we call it, outlines Thurston County's future plans for transportation projects and programs. It includes a summary of our legal and regulatory requirements that guide our program. It includes a summary of revenues and expenditures for the next 6 years for the program. Also includes our annual road program, which is essentially the first year of our TIP. It includes a 6-year list of projects and programs, in addition to a 20-year capital or capacity project list. And finally, it includes our annual bridge report. Including projects in the TIP allows Public Works to seek and be eligible to secure funding and proceed with work on projects where funding is already secured. The proposed program continues to be qualified based on the availability of financial support and one which is minimal given the needs of the county. The proposed program will be made available to the public, chambers of commerce, neighborhood groups, community groups, and neighboring jurisdictions, and by the end of the day today, it should be posted up on our website. And the request today is to schedule a public hearing for Tuesday, October 22nd at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard, to provide an opportunity for the public to comment. This request meets the requirements of RCW 36-81-130. The 6-year transportation improvement program is consistent with the county's strategic plan and meets Initiative 6, which is proactively shape a strong, diverse economy that provides equitable access to opportunity, as well as Initiative 8, support robust and well-maintained infrastructure systems for a thriving community. Any questions?
Any questions? Nope. No.
Well, maybe one question.
Okay.
If we need to put items on this plan if we're going to do something on those particular projects, right?
Yes.
But if we didn't put something on the plan because we didn't think we had enough resources, and then all of a sudden we came upon a windfall, can you adjust that plan each
Yeah.
year as you go along?
Great comment. To make changes to the plan requires unanimous vote of the county commissioners. So yes, you can make changes
Okay.
throughout the year.
Thank you.
Every year, you said?
Yeah, this is required to do every year, so I'll be seeing you again about this time next year and so forth.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I would move to waive the 20-day legal notice requirement to establish 10-day legal notice and set a public hearing for October 22nd, 2019 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard in room 280, Building 1 of the Thurston County Courthouse, to formally receive testimony and consider the proposed 6-year transportation improvement program for the calendar years 2020 through 2025.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to set the public hearing. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5, Public Health and Social Services. Regarding the Thurston County Criminal Justice Treatment Account Plan.
Good afternoon.
Carrie.
My name is Carrie Hennon from Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. The Criminal Justice Treatment Account is state funding that comes to Thurston County through a contract with the Washington Healthcare Authority. Pursuant to RCW, each region that receives funding is required to develop a plan for how it will use those funds, and the law specifies the group that is supposed to develop that plan. It includes representatives of the sheriff's office, the prosecutor's office, public defense, superior court, drug court, and a substance use treatment provider. I didn't tell you how the funding is supposed to be spent. It is required to be spent on substance use treatment and recovery support services for individuals with charges filed by a prosecuting attorney in Washington state. So drug treatment and related services for individuals in the criminal justice system. So locally, we're required to develop this plan with the group I just mentioned, and then seek your approval of that plan, and then submit it to the state healthcare authority for their review. So what is before you is the plan that has been developed locally. It has some more uses of this fund than we have had in the past. So it includes substance use disorder assessments when requested by a defendant's defense attorney. It includes funding for treatment and related services for individuals participating in drug court. It includes funding for medication-assisted treatment for individuals with opioid use disorder at the Thurston County Jail. It includes parenting classes for individuals with a substance use disorder who are justice involved, and it allows for other substance use treatment for this population. So that's the plan that has been agreed to by that local panel with representatives of various county offices and departments. So I am here to ask for your approval of that plan so that we can submit it to the funder, the Healthcare Authority.
Any questions or comments?
Nope. Sounds like you guys went through this and put some good pieces in place.
And
You, sir?
we've went over this several times, so for the viewing public, I'm satisfied we're doing it right.
Good. Okay, I'm ready.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
I would move to approve the updated Thurston County Criminal Justice Treatment Account Plan to provide substance use disorder treatment and recovery support services for individuals involved in the criminal justice system.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the CJTA plan. Any further discussion needed?
No, sir.
Nope. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. And 5B is the Healthcare Authority contract.
Yes, so this also relates to the criminal justice treatment account. This relates to the contract for the year that ended June 30th, 2019, state fiscal year 2019. So as I just mentioned when we talked about the plan going forward, we added some additional uses locally of the fund. That was sort of in response to the fact that last year, for that year that ended on June 30th, locally we did not spend all the funding that we were contracted from the Healthcare Authority. So the item before you is an adjustment to the contract for that year that ended June 30th, 2019, to reflect what our actual spending was. So the Healthcare Authority would like to amend that contract retroactively to reflect not the total amount they originally allocated, but the amount we actually spent. And just to note, it does not affect our allocation for the new fiscal year. It does not affect our allocation going forward. This is an amendment to a contract for the period ending June 30th, 2019.
Okay, questions or comments?
Nope.
How about you, sir?
Nope, ditto, same kind of thing happened. We went over this one as well.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
I would move to approve Amendment 1 to Healthcare Authority Contract 1863-34846-01 for criminal justice treatment account funds to reduce the maximum total consideration from $239,327 to $99,356 for the period of July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to assign the amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the Healthcare Authority contract. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Item number 6, County Manager, an ILA with Douglas County for cooperative purchasing.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Assistant County Manager, sorry.
Acting County Manager
Acting.
for the day, only
Right.
for the day. So this afternoon, I am asking you to approve a cooperative purchasing interlocal agreement between Thurston and Douglas counties. The interlocal agreement would specifically be used to enable Douglas County to piggyback off the work that Thurston County has already done to purchase a budget system called Questica. This is allowed under state law. Thurston County in 2016 followed all of the appropriate requests for proposal and purchasing requirements set by law, and other counties or other jurisdictions are able to form a cooperative with us so that they can benefit from the work that we've already done. Douglas County has come to us. They've reviewed and tested Questica. They've determined it's the best fit for a budget system for their county as well, and have asked us to enter into this purchasing cooperative with them. So I am asking you to approve this motion.
Any questions or comments?
No?
You, sir?
The only thing I would bring out is we've went over this as well, and this will have no negative financial impact on Thurston County at all, is that right?
No impact in either direction on
Yeah.
Thurston County, not a negative or a positive impact.
Yep.
We've already done this work. We're happy with the budget system that we have, and we're happy to partner with our other jurisdictions to enable them to have this benefit.
And on occasion, we do the same thing with other jurisdictions to
absolutely-
benefit the taxpayers of Thurston County. is
Yes,
that
we
right?
absolutely do.
Okay,
All right.
I'm ready to go,
Yes, sir.
I would move to approve a cooperative purchasing interlocal agreement between Thurston and Douglas counties for the purpose of allowing Douglas County to purchase Questica software using the Thurston County request for proposals dated March 8th, 2016.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the interlocal agreement with Douglas County. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Nope. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. 6B, setting a public hearing relating to a resolution opposing initiative measure number 976.
So Initiative 976, which will be on the ballot in November, would eliminate fees and taxes that are related to vehicle sales and tabs. And as a result, by eliminating these fees and taxes, it would eliminate funding statewide that is currently used for repairs on highways, bridges, overpasses, funding for transit, including transit in rural areas, funding that is currently used to improve roads and do basic street maintenance would be eliminated, and also funds for the Washington State Patrol. That's what this money is used for by the state of Washington. Part of the money that the state collects also comes to county government, and in the county, one of the things that would be eliminated is the ability for the board to even consider certain types of funding for the Transportation Benefit District, and we would highly likely lose funding for roads right here in our county. And again, not just roads, but bridges, highways, and transit. So this could have a negative effect on county revenue, and we already struggle to provide services within the revenue that we currently receive. The board is considering passing a resolution in opposition to this initiative. And part of that consideration is to hold a public hearing to hear from the people of Thurston County. So what we're asking you to do this afternoon is to set that public hearing. At this time, you're not taking a position on the initiative, you're simply setting the public hearing. The public hearing would be held on October 22nd at 3 o'clock, right here in this room. We're also asking that you waive the 20-day notice and instead go with the 10-day notice. That's in accordance with county code. But it would be a public hearing to consider public comment on a proposal to oppose Initiative 976.
Commissioner?
I'm good, I understand. We're going to be listening to public comment.
We're going to ask the public to comment on this particular issue, and then we'll make a decision.
On the 22nd, and we could make a decision that evening.
Yes, you could.
To adopt it. Okay. Thank you. I'm ready, sir.
I would move to waive the 20-day legal notice requirement to establish a 10-day legal notice and set a public hearing for October 22nd, 2019 at 3 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard in room 280, building 1 of the Thurston County Courthouse to formally receive testimony on a resolution opposing initiative measure number 976 concerning motor vehicle taxes and fees, limiting state and local taxes, fees, and other charges relating to vehicles.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to set the public hearing with regard to initiative measure number 976. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Nope.
All right. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. The motion carries. Now we're moving on to 6C on the agenda. That's commissioners reporting on our work sessions and assigned committees and updates. Commissioner Messer?
Yeah, thank you. Busy week for me. Starting Tuesday night, I attended the Capital Land Trust Annual Community Forum where they reach out to the community, talk about their different strategic goals, and just get kind of feedback, and it was great to hear. I mainly just listened, just go to the different stations and heard what people thought the priorities ought to be. You know, acquiring, you know, they have the same sort of struggle we have. You can acquire properties, but then you have to have maintenance and operational, and they sort of line that out. And do you want us to, you know, take the properties we have and provide more public access, or do you want us to continue to acquire more properties, and what kind, what priorities? So it was a really interesting discussion. Wednesday morning was Walk to School Day. Olympic View Elementary had an event that I participated in and was there with some county folks from Public Health and Social Services. Met the principal, Mr. Greer, who is super friendly, and there we had a nice long trail of kids walking to school over there, and I'd never been to that school, so that was great. I got to see the new improvements that we did on our Safe Routes to School program. So it was kind of a double whammy for me. Wednesday, at lunch, I was at the Rochester Chamber, had a chance to report to them on the stuff that we are doing on their reservoir and their water system down, their wastewater down there. There was some updates from the Public Works Director that I was able to convey, and also let them know that there will be a Rochester session at the Gate School for the Conservation District Strategic Planning session. They're going to 3 different communities, and one of them is Rochester, so that was good. I had flyers I was able to pass out about that. On Thursday, I attended the Chehalis Basin Board meeting. I try to attend those. I'm not formally a member, but in this particular instance, they wanted Flood Authority members, which I am a member of, to appear and report to the Chehalis Basin Board on our local projects program. So we were able to try to explain to them how the local projects fit into the bigger picture for the Chehalis Basin and why we think they should continue funding those projects. We also got a brand new, hot off the press, consultant presentation on the dam proposal of the Chehalis Flood Zone District and exactly how it would look and how it would operate, and a lot of good question and answer about that. On Thursday night, I spent a long night at Lot going to the Reclaimed Water Community Advisory Group meeting where we got a 3-hour presentation on the specifics of the reclaimed water study, $3.5 million effort that Lot's been in the course of 5 years. And we are down to the final lap of figuring out how these residual chemicals in our reclaimed water, could they, under what circumstances, cause an issue for our aquifer or surface waters. We're not there yet, but all of the preparatory work, which took basically 5 years to do, is now ready for the final analysis. Within 6 months, we ought to have some really clear answers about reclaimed water and how it could be safely used in our community. On Saturday, I need to go in there. I meant to bring it. I have a trophy. I was a 3rd place winner with the Thurston and Tenino combined forces in the Bucoda's Pine Box Derby casket race. And I showed up, and Tenino had built a pine box casket, but only had the mayor to man it, and they needed a team. So I was there with my kids, and so my son and my daughter and myself and Mayor of Tenino combined forces and got 3rd place. Yay. Edging out the Port of Olympia,
Yay.
But losing to the We Love Rainier group and Joe's Place from Bucoda. But Wayne Fournier of Tenino won the Mayor's Cup as the highest placing mayor. And then this morning I attended an Innovative Justice meeting, which we got both an update on the pretrial services diversion program, which is looking good and basically launching, and also started work on the opioid task force, the particular strategies that are related to criminal justice that we're going to try to work out smart goals. We started that process this morning. So there you go.
Thank you. Commissioner?
I'm going to say my week consisted mostly of clean water, sludge, attendance to the annual Skookumchuck Grange festivities, and the annual Farm Bureau activities, in which I believe you attended as well, sir. But most of this effort is around biosludge and how it's applied to in the environment, I guess. And really all it is sewage sludge that is the solids from the sewage plants. And how they can say that's treated is beyond me. And it's applied to the ground and allowed to work its way through. It'll scare you if you go to any of the presentations that are put on about how detrimental that is to the environment. And on the Deschutes River, continue to try and push for an analysis of the upper Deschutes as part of the analysis of the whole Deschutes River water system going into Capitol Lake, because I don't believe we can make proper public policy if we don't get a total analysis of the river system altogether. And what I'm mainly referring to is the application of chemicals by the timber industry and the headwaters of the Deschutes and how that affects the waters downriver, including Capitol Lake, and then on out into the saltwater. So that was my week.
And I attended the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Organization Regional Interlocal Leadership Structure meeting. And it was as exciting as the title is, with Mason County Commissioner Kevin Schutte getting some important work done. And attended the Regional Housing Council meeting last week, and we talked about the Regional Transition Center and all the affiliated issues associated with that transition center for helping the homeless folks. It's an ad hoc committee that came together, and there's several details to be worked out, numerous details to be worked out. It is still in its embryonic stage. And last Friday, I attended the first Friday business breakfast. This is an offshoot of STEADY, the South Thurston Economic Development Initiative in South County. This first Friday business breakfast is the first of its kind for Tenino businesses to come together and share with each other and network. Hey, we do this, you do that. Why don't we refer people to you, and vice versa, to get people in the community that come down to Tenino, to get them connected with other businesses. That ended up with me. I had no idea they have a glass artist down there. And what she does is takes glass from homes and buildings that end up being smashed up and thrown in the landfill. She takes this material and with a kiln, she gets it all melted down, and she creates art out of old window glass and window panes. And it's just beautiful stuff. So I ended up dropping a few dollars there for family members, and it's really cool, very simplistic, but art, and it's reusing something that would just end up in the landfill. Nobody else in the community knew about her, so it was wonderful. So the first meeting was a success. I attended this last Friday morning, the Mayor's Forum, Friday afternoon for lunch. It was hosted. The Mayor's Forum are all the mayors in the county, and this month it was hosted by Alan Carr, the mayor of Bucota. And of course, we talked about Bucota and that the following casket races the next day and their Halloween festivities. But we also talked about issues that are important and critical to all the mayors and all the municipalities in the county. The House Bill 1406, where every municipality sends the state their sales tax money. 1406 lets us retain some of that back. Not a new tax, but we get to retain, send fewer dollars to the state, and we get to keep that. We talked about that, talked about homelessness issues, and other issues, Initiative 976, and how that would devastate the cities as well. And then I attended the Thurston County Farm Bureau annual meeting and dinner. I believe I saw you there. And a bunch of farmers, good people, talked about conservation, water issues, their own survival as farmers in this county. And believe it or not, which was interesting to me, the banquet was catered by an entrepreneur, a husband and wife team out of Toledo. They have a restaurant down there. They're open one day a week thus far, but they do catering around the county, and that food, I thought was pretty doggone good. Beautiful barbecue food. And again, it's a great way to get their word out, but they're local farmers as well. It was a very good annual event. And with that, then I turn to the acting county manager, Robin Campbell.
So thank you, Commissioner. I will go over your master calendar for the next week. Just trying to channel our county manager. I'll note that these are only items that at least two of you are scheduled to attend. You may have other items on your calendars that only one of you are attending. These are the joint open public meetings. This afternoon at 3:30, you are scheduled to convene as the Board of Health. Tomorrow at 11:30 a.m., your calendar includes the Thurston County Chamber meeting. That will be held at the Hotel RL just down the street from the courthouse. In the afternoon tomorrow at 1:30, you will have a work session on the budget. This is final deliberation in follow-up to the public hearing that was held last night on the midterm budget adjustment. It is scheduled to go until 4:30, but it is possible, depending on the decisions that you make, that we would complete that meeting early, which takes me to Thursday morning at 9 a.m., which we also have held for the budget deliberations. If you should conclude your deliberations on Wednesday, then the 9 a.m. meeting would be canceled, and instead you would hold a 10 a.m. regular weekly commissioners check-in. We also have 1:30 tomorrow afternoon held for budget, because you may want to talk a lot about your budget, but if you don't, if you finish by tomorrow or Thursday morning, then we would cancel the 1:30 on Thursday. There are no meetings scheduled for Friday, October 11th, and no meetings scheduled at this time for Monday, October 14th. On Tuesday, October 15th, we're back in this room at 9 a.m. for agenda setting, the 2 o'clock regular board meeting next Tuesday, and then I would also note that at 3 o'clock next Tuesday, you're holding a public hearing on changes to the Thurston County Code, Chapter 2.02, and at 5:30 next Tuesday, holding a public hearing on the comprehensive plan periodic update. And that's the week ahead.
Can't wait. With an item, my seatmates, anything for the good of the order?
No, sir.
No? Yes?
Happy birthday to my daughter, Noelle, who turns 12 today.
Good
Happy
for
That's
you.
for the good of my order.
Happy birthday, good. And she was mentioned on camera.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to adjourn the Board of County Commissioners meeting of October 8, 2019.
And we'll reconvene in about 14 minutes.